Welcome to the CLAUDing Lab. This is the second session today. We're coming back and looking at POEM, the prompt orchestration and engineering method. What we're doing is testing a workflow. It's the YouTube launch optimizer, which is a workflow I go through when I want to launch a video. It's about coming up with chapters and titles and stuff like that. The reason for it is that we're trying to improve the structures for our agentic SOPs, standard operating procedures, and the one we're doing is the YouTube launch optimizer. And not only are we testing any changes or adaptations that we need to during the process, what we're also doing is writing documentation in such a way that when we're building the actual project behind all of this poem in the Claude environment and using the BMAD method, we've got some sound documentation based on use cases. So let's head over, figure out where we're at, and we are not here, we are here. So it's just finished section 1. Now let's get a little bit of clarity around what section 1 really means. And before we do, I'm just checking that we are running correctly. We are. Cool. And I'm just heading over to one of the documents that are in place at the moment, and what it's doing is reviewing a bunch of prompts at the moment, and it's just worked through the one section where we configure some incoming data from a video, usually a transcript, and then what we do is we generate some potential titles for YouTube. These are just short titles, this is not the final titles at all. Then what we do is we summarize the video, abridge the video, give it an abridgment, and then do some quality checks on the abridgment. After that, we split the video up into intros and outros, and it looks like it was just moving on to do video calls to action as well. Now these two will not be in the future YouTube launch optimizer the way they are, because they're actually they're a very different process to what we need summaries and abridgments from. But I'm just working through and we're just letting it figure stuff out as we go. So let's see where we got to. I'm just come back over here. So I'm currently 63% context and I'm working through a multi-step task. It's going to take quite a while. I've just added in a 6 tasks because as you do a workflow, you need the workflow to be documented. YAML is a format you could document in, and I noticed that I wasn't capturing that idea, so that's going to come towards the end. It's dealing with the idea that a prompt could be sequential, or a bunch of them could be parallel, or there could even be forking. There can be recombining, different stuff like that. So we just need to document what the basic workflow is as we go. We got this, and I think we are ready to move on to the next prompt. So what does that mean? What is the next prompt? Let's just see what that means. Now, I've noticed that it's done a video call to action prompt, which I don't use anymore, so it's not very practical to go through it other than for verifying the way the prompts work. So let's just go down to VS Code. Here's the prompt for figuring out a call to action. I think it's been cleaned up. And I'm just going to have a look at what Penny has to say about this particular prompt. I'll get some output formats, purpose, good, okay. It looks like a good prompt, but I don't need it in my current workflows at all. So what it has decided to do over here is it's moving into the second workflow. I wonder if I can get, let me just jump down to level 2 for a moment, and we'll just create a couple of folders. We'll go JWB. I think that's what I want. Do I want the DSL? No, I think I just want the agents. We'll just go into there and we'll run NRD, npm run dev, and it should start a little website for us. It does. I'm just going to see whether that website comes up for us. It does. And now I've got to find the actual URL I'm interested in. Let's just come here. YouTube Launch Optimizer. That's the one. So as we've been working through the workflow, that's the one we've just done. Now we're about to move on to workflow number 2. That's where we do find chapters in a video, refine the chapters, create the chapters. Now, the reason I'm doing the poem system is that this works okay. It doesn't work very well. It was done 2 years ago. And I have a lot more power in the prompts and the agentic engine to do this a lot better. And so we're just trying to improve prompts like this and deal with inputs. So with that said, let's just go back and have a look at what it's doing. It's currently reading the identity or identification of chapters. And if I just jump down to Visual Studio Code, I can see that it's done a little bit of a cleanup of the prompt for me, which is good. And we'll just see what Penny has to say. So Penny takes a transcript as input. Original used to take the abridgment, but that's okay. Outputs the chapter name. So a list of chapters, so chapter 1, 2, 3. It's trying to figure out what the chapters are. And purpose, what identify natural topic boundaries in a transcript, create simple chapter names, and extracts representative quotes. What does that mean? I don't know. Observations, simple naming guideline, bad instruction, introduction to, these are just examples. Okay, edge cases. Okay, we're going to leave that, and the input is that it takes a transcript, and the output is that it returns an array of chapters. Very cool. This is good. I don't need to do much with that document. That document is fine. We will just go and have a look at what the next step in the process. This is going to be a boring video. This is just me stepping through each of these prompts and we're doing preliminary check, and we're building up documentation along the way if needed. Okay. In the future, this prompt probably needs a level of improvement. The goal of it, though, is to find the natural text boundaries, which is what you've said here. But we may need to find other ways of figuring this out because it's not highly accurate yet. It's not until a bit later on when I give chapter headings and timings. Well, I give chapter headings. I don't know if I give the timings from the FlyHub system. That's when things start to improve a little bit. Just the chapter headings alone are pretty good. It also currently doesn't deal well with the concept of transcript versus transcript with timestamps, mainly because the timestamps add so much extra data into the mix that it screws up the prompts. For now, we can just move on to the next prompt, but when we move on to the next prompt, I want you to keep in mind that we've got a version 1 and a version 2. There's probably a situation like we've seen before where only version 2 really matters. If that is the case, we can deprecate 1 and we can rename 2. So we're just currently having a look at the next one, which is about refining the chapters, which is you are a YouTube chapter titles for video. Your goal is to produce titles that are under 49 characters in length. Okay, so that the first thing it should start to do is clean up this prompt. I hope it does that. We'll see whether this becomes a little bit more readable in a moment. But while it's doing that, I'm just going to head back here and we're going to look at another conversation somewhere else that's doing something. Here I've got a massive plan of action to modify my FlyHub application. So I'll show you that in a moment. Firstly, let's just look at the fact that it did clean up our prompt. It's now a little bit more readable, which is good. We'll clear that out for a moment. Hopefully it's going to delete this one and include this one. It's probably also going to rename the V2 aspect of that. We'll see that in a moment. But let's go and have a look at FlyHub. So FlyHub is sitting over here. At the moment, it's in the middle of a transcription. So this is a video earlier today, 1 hour and 47 minutes long. Now, because I'm using a local whisper model, sorry, we can't see it, there it is. Because I'm using a local whisper model, it actually takes 2 to 3 times the length of the video to transcribe it. That's a hassle. That's a bit of a problem. So at the moment, it's gone through 48 minutes in what is a 1 hour and 47 minute file. And the section over here that you're looking at is a bunch of changes to that application that I want to do. Some of them are just about moving some files around for the future. Some are about code changes. So I think I just want to check through this. 3 interconnected issues on FlyHub. The transcription system does not work when 2 files of the same name, this one, from 2 different projects, happen to happen in the same session. So if I refresh the application, this wouldn't be an issue. And it never was an issue in the past until I started doing daily live streams and started using the same file name every time. So there's a little bug that needs to be fixed. Also, because it is a new video channel, well, it's an old video channel resurrected called the CLAUDing Lab, I don't have the concept of multi-project or multi-channel management. So I need that. Folder organization, I've got 52 videos currently ready for various forms of production in the Appy Dave directory, and they're getting mixed up with some other folders that are at the same level. So I'm going to have to move them into a video folder. So this plan of action from Claude is very much about solving those 3 problems in one go. It's creating FR109. Okay, better go check what that is. That's a functional requirement. It's the 109th functional requirement. It looks like a simple bug fix, which is cool. Okay. Then we got the channel switching. This is a new level of configuration that we need to deal with. And then So 3 of these videos, the X, the 01 through 03, happen to be from the new YouTube channel. That's why I just put an X on them so that they move over a bit more cleanly. So fixing the transcription system is the priority, and that's because I told it was a priority in the conversation, and we can see all the code it's planning to do. Folder organization. This is going to be done as a migration script, so it should be okay. I don't think, or should I should keep reading. I gotta add a brand root to the types. Okay, we can't press go. We can't do it for another hour because of the other video running. Let's see what else I've got going at the moment. Well, no, let's just come back to here because we can move on. So this is should deprecate v1 and rename. Yes, do it. I wish it'd done it automatically actually. Let's go down and have a look at VS Code. So that v1 HBS is about to get deleted, and the refined chapters, let's just read it. You are YouTube. So if in the first one we were able to identify chapters with text boundaries, this one is refining them to just better names really. Now this is the key. It takes in the chapter folder names as it goes, which comes from my FlyHub application, and that combined with that really makes really accurate chapter names. So that's pretty cool. So I think I'll just leave that. I'll have a look at what Penny has come up with. That's fixed. Workflow, human in the loop. Identify, refine. That's right. This is interesting for me because I have to wonder whether if I gave it at the time of guessing, the guesses would be better. I don't know. We can also see as a workflow it's sequential. There's nothing that can be done in parallel right here. And now we've got the create is the next one. So I'm just going to say next prompt. It's going to start processing create chapters, which is down below. But I'll just keep reading this. Produce exactly one chapter per folder name. Yeah, and that's because my folder structure has more authority than the actual content itself. It takes the transcript, the identity chapters that came from the previous workflow step, and the chapter folder names, which is human input. Does it say human input? No, it doesn't. I'm going to ask that question. When you were looking at the folder names, there you did recognize that they're human input. So there's a human in the loop aspect of this, which could come in at any time, really. But my question for you, did you mark that in the penny document as something to be aware of because of the fact that it will affect the workflow? The workflow needs to understand the difference between data that comes from previous steps and is sitting on the bus versus data that's coming in from the human input system. Now, the create chapters, let's go look at that because it's actually a pretty average. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong area. Let's go to here. If I remember right, this is not a very good prompt. So the input is chapters, folder names, transcript. So it takes the title, or it takes whatever the title of the chapter would be, but also matches it to the words it found. So that's useful. I've got a new capability I want to add to the application based off looking at that. So let's just go here. I might be thinking a little bit too far in the future about this, but I noticed with the title being introduction that you gave a character count of 12. Now, I think you did that because you inferred that that might be an interesting concept to have. But I think what is interesting, any way you look at it, is that metadata such as length, and there could be other sorts of metadata, can be quite valuable with any field. Now, that doesn't mean we should be stamping it into data files because it could be quite heavy and often not used. But transient versions or configured versions could be useful. So it could be that when we're doing a field like the intro, that extracting the count is something that we want to do into the data. Or if we're using an application, it can have these transient properties that you can always reference that can pull out values like this. I don't know where you want to put that in my documentation because this is not an instruction for you to do anything. It's just a note as we look at our decision logs. It's just an interesting concept, and it was related to this text here. Can I also check in with you? Why does the current task list show section 1 when it feels like we're in section 2? What are you doing to keep the task list up to date as you do the work? See, I know we're in this area right here, so I'm just wondering why it says we're still on this particular area. The other thing that's I'm wondering about is that we've still got a lot of prompts to work through. Each of them are their own sections, and I feel that they should be done before we work on the other areas. So I'd like to do that, which means you need to expand your task list, not contract it. And once you've done that, I also need you to save the state, because we're about to run out of context and I need to kick us off in a new window, at which point we'll be moving on to section 3 prompts, because unless you tell me otherwise, we are finished with section 2 prompts. Let that figure out its thing, and I'll just keep reading through this. Wrong page, better page. Multiple. Okay, that's all cool. I think I also want to do a... Oh, it's done it. I was going to say a commit, but they all went white. So let's see where it's at. Creating a handover note. We got 4% left on this context window. I'm going to start a new window. Oh, you know what? We don't know what the task ID is. So I think we're going to hit compacting. That's going to suck. Now we got 2%. We might be okay. Session 1 is complete. Reviewed 10 prompts in 2 sections. They've all been formatted. We're just cleaner, that's all. Got rid of the V1s. Penny did an analysis on each of them. She's not fixing anything. We'll fix it later. Discovered a paradigm or an idea of parallel execution and the human in the loop patterns. We got a handover session 2. Complete. Remaining, then we got other stuff. Were the tasks actually put into a task list, and if so, what's the ID that I can use? So let's just go to capital C for a moment. This is where we need a task list ID. Let's see what it's going to come up with here. I don't know that I've ever had to query this before, so I don't know whether it's something it can find. That's a problem. Oh fuck, why did I press escape? Oh, look at that. Okay. Let's just figure out something with this task list idea. We're going to take that capital. I need help understanding task lists. It's a new capability, came in a week or two ago in Claude Code. I think it came in on version 2.1.19 or something. And here's an example. But if I've got a bunch of tasks that were created in a conversation, let me just show you what we're seeing. I don't know how to fill in the task list ID, and I'm not getting much love from Claude Code on telling me how to introspect the conversation and find it. So what do I do? How do I start a new conversation and get my task list back? And have the persistent ID that I can reuse. So the big problem here is that there are tasks, but when we start a new conversation, we don't know how to bring them back because we didn't think to set a task ID when we created the conversation in which the tasks were created. It's a chicken and egg scenario. So what we're looking to do is figure out the answer. Look at that, it went to the Claude Code guide, which means it's reading the Claude documentation directly. This is not a skill, this is a tool within Claude Code, which is really cool. It's a tool designed to read its documentation, figure these sorts of little niggly problems out. And look at that, it's done. The key insight points to a directory. Cool. You choose the name or automatically creates. Oh, this is dumb. That's dumb. How do I reconcile this from the point of view that, let's say I open 5 Claude Code instances in the same project. They all come up with tasks lists. I've got no way of getting the task list ID, which means what does a statement like choose a name or anything mean? Like, how do I figure out which ID they went into so that if I start a new conversation, I can say, yeah, point it to this list. Are you saying I cannot introspect the task list ID from a conversation that created tasks? Because what in essence you're really telling me is that if you want to use tasks and you want to use them across conversations, then you better go and set up a task ID before you set up a conversation. Whether that conversation uses tasks or not, you got yourself prepared. If you don't use them, you've wasted your time. If you do use them, you've saved yourself a whole lot of pain. But how can I know this ahead of time? This is such a dumb situation. I'm just going to run that file, see what that gives me. See what it's given me? It looks like there's a session ID. Couldn't you have just told me that the session ID was there or some shit like that? And if so, can't we rename it? That may be all it is. Maybe just renaming conversations. Yeah, I should have just told you that. My apologies for the long. Here's the simple solution. Based on your listing, rename it to something meaningful. Hold on, let's go here. Let's see if we got a session ID. How do we do this? Config. What? Slash status. Is that the same ID? I think. I bet it is. B04. What's this one? B04. It certainly is. Oh, this is cool. I know what to do now. But how do I use it? Slash rename. Slash rewind. What's that statement? Where the oh, I asked that in the wrong location. Let's go back to where the tasks. Let's go rewind. We'll gain 2% memory that way. Store the conversation. Got 2%. Great. Let's get out of that. Let's go rename. We'll call it Rewind. Rename to what? Review. YT launch optimizer. So let's rename it. Oh, why did it say rewind? I thought I said rename. Rename YouTube launch optimizer. Now if we do status, it has a name, that's cool. It also has a session ID. Actually, let's, give that back one more time. And let's do that ls or whatever it was doing. What was it doing? That? Okay, cool. Bugger. It renamed, but it did not do that. Let's see what happens if we run a Claude. Still Claude with that term. I don't think it'll work. No. Notice that we don't have the task. So that doesn't work. Oh shit, what's another way we could do? I've got another way we could do this. Actually, let's figure it out this way. Leave that over there. Rewind twice. Rewind. So we'll keep that. We should have 2% left. We do. We'll just say yay. No, I don't need to. I've run that, so I can just exit out. And I can go CLAUD. We'll go with a new ID. We'll go YT launch optimizer. But we'll say -C to continue. So we should just see. We don't. We do not see our task list. Is there a task? No task. It lost the fucking task. You motherfucker. That's why we needed the damn ID at the beginning. Okay. Let's just go here. We'll run that one. We won't do it with C this time. We'll just go for a blank conversation, what we tried to do. Come back up to here, session state. This is a handover conversation. I need you to read it. One of the things you'll notice is it assumes there's a task list, but I think we've destroyed the task list. I don't know if you can identify it for me. If you can you do that? Looks like it can find the tasks. They are the right tasks, which is good. Those two have been done. Ah, there they are. Good, that's everything. That's all correct. That's great. Move on to section 3. Let's come over and see where we're going to be working. Transcript analysis. This is a... Oh, no, we're not. We're on number 3. This is such a useless section. So that should have just gone and cleaned it up a little bit. Yep, took the messy one, made it more readable. Okay, what are we doing? Transcript design style. You are a visual design specialist. This is all about getting visual themes out of a video file for use with generating B-roll. What I'm going to ask it to do I want you to move quickly through this section, the section 3 prompts. Just do the same thing for all of them and then come back to me. Then I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this whole section. I'd probably want you to give me an overview of the whole section as well. While that's happening, I just want to check how our transcription is going. See how slow it is. I wonder if we go to our Grok account. Let's go to our second brain account first. Voice agent. Let's just start a new window. JT for tools, LSA. There's ITO. Claude. Wonder what it would take to build a tool that solves this problem more accurately. Maybe we've already made it. I want you to have a look at the ITO folder. And I think there might be a David area inside of it where we might have created a transcription tool. I also want you to go and find the voice agent. I don't know whether it's voice dash agent or something, application that I built in Rust. in both cases, what we're looking at is the code related to dealing with grok, and specifically dealing with using its API endpoint to transcribe a file. What I think I should do is make a faster Whisper AI. That's what I want to do. The Whisper AI that we've got from locally takes whatever amount of time, 1.5 hours. Well, for a 1.5 hour video, it takes about 3 hours. Found it. There it is. Okay. We should do a new live stream purely on building your own live stream transcript tool, grok based transcription tool. That would be cool. Okay. Would these work okay if we ran it from Ruby? Who is this? Okay. Okay. I don't want you to come back to that. I might just go and create that video today. Let's get back to where we were, but so this is what we're working on. That we can close down. This is not relevant anymore. Let's just run a git status. We're good. Let's get ourselves a clean view of what this is. Okay. Visual design coordination with mid-journey integration. Blah, 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 blah. Human checkpoints to required multi. Okay, I haven't read your reports, and I'll tell you why. I find this whole workflow to be old and unusual, unusable. It's deprecated these days. It had a purpose really early in the piece, and I don't use it anymore. It's not that the information is wrong, it's just that the workflow is wrong. So I think what I want to do is deprecate this workflow. I think the smartest way to think about it is to take the information you've done, and including the penny files, and just move this into an archive folder from where we are. I think it was called B-roll suggestions. So in my opinion, we could even name it that way under the archive folder. It doesn't need to be numbered 3 or anything like that. Though it can. I don't mind that. Probably easier if we just move the files, but it should be under a B-roll folder called archive. Now that's said. So I'm going to stop this live stream because everything we're doing is working well. The poem upgrade today is improving, but I think in the next hour I could create a video purely on the idea of using the Grok API as a tool, and I should do that. So sayonara, I don't know, goodbye.